Good morning and welcome to your Daily Sparks. In 2 Chronicles 15, Tony Evans writes this: we see Israel's culture deteriorating for a number of reasons. First, they had turned from seeking the one true God. Second, they no longer had teaching priests. And third, the missing ingredient was God's law. They didn't have God's law. When a culture has a false view of God, built on bad information, God begins to remove the restraints on the law, and people do what they want, and evil grows unbridled. Even sinners who respect God somewhat won't do certain things. But once God is removed or marginalized from a culture, the standard for society is gone, and God becomes their nation's worst enemy and their worst nightmare. And that's what happened in Israel. And that is exactly what is happening today in our society. When the rule of God's law is missing, chaos ensues throughout the community. You cannot have order and structure in society without God. Men become enslaved by the very freedom they seek. We have ungodly people in our culture who don't want anything divine, don't want a divine standard on anything, but they insist that others be held accountable. See, when God leaves a society, hope goes with him. That's exactly what we're seeing. As long as you have God, you have hope. He's the one thing you can count on, writes Warren Wiersbe. If God is still in the picture, and as long as his kingdom agenda is still on the table, it's not over. Even if circumstances collapse, God will keep the culture in place. So as long as God is front and center in a culture, in a life, in a family, in a church, there's hope. But when he's removed, his favor, his protection, his power, his peace, they're all removed with him. In our culture, we do not see God front and center. But what we do see is God front and center in churches that believe him, in families that stand for him. So make sure that God is front and center in your life as you go into this day, regardless of what's happening in your culture, because if you do, then his standard and his peace are yours. We'll see you tomorrow on Sparks.